Molweni manene namanene kazi. Ngomgqibelo ebusuku siza kubona ukuba uGolden Boy uAzinga Fuzile uza kuphumelela na xa esilwa no Sultan Zaurbek. Saturday night in Kazakhstan, we are going to be seeing whether the Golden Boy Azinga Fuzile can redeem himself, re-establish himself on the world scene and pull off an upset against the unbeaten Sultan Zaurbek in Kazakhstan of all places. If you want to break down the fight with me, then stick around. Masikazulule umlo apa. Kazakhstan is famous for some very good boxers, one of them of course being Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. Now Sultan Zaurbek is an undefeated fighter. He is 19-0 with 13 knockouts and he wants to continue in that tradition, and in order to do that he's going to have to prevail over 10 rounds over South Africa's Azinga Fuzile. Azinga has got 18 wins against 2 losses and 12 knockouts, so a very respectable record as well. He has been to the top and wasn't able to get over the hill, so to speak. He lost the world title challenge in 2021 to Kenichi Ogawa, and he got up from the canvas twice to go the distance. And since then, he has been winning. He's won 3 fights inside the distance since that loss, but it's been on continental level, sort of other fighters from other African countries. He hasn't had world-class opponents in front of him since that loss. Now, Sultan Zaurbek, I think for him, Azinga Fuzile may probably also be the best opponent he's faced. Interestingly, it's another battle of 2 southpaws. Both these guys are southpaws. So it sort of reminds me of way back when Fuzile suffered his first loss in the Orient Theatre when I was ringside against Shavkat Rakimov, who was also a southpaw. Another battle of 2 southpaws. Fuzile was ahead. He rocked Rakimov a couple of times, and then Rakimov came back like gangbusters and stopped Fuzile, knocked him to the canvas and kept him there in the 8th round. Afterwards, it was found out that they used illegal smelling salts in the corner, in the Rakimov corner. He got another eliminator against Martin Joseph Ward, I believe that one was in Las Vegas, and he stopped him, got him a fight against Kenichi Ogawa. So Azinga Fuzile has shown the character that he can come back from adversity. He's a very tricky southpaw. He likes to fight sort of in that Philly show style with the hands sort of across the body, that cross-arm defense that was popularized by Floyd Mayweather, and he does it quite effectively. He's one of a few fighters that can pull it off, but does it well. Now, Sultan Zaurbek, he's a come-forward fighter, very accurate with his punches, to the body and the head, very solid jab, right-hand jab, right-left hook from a southpaw stance, as well as a sort of a left uppercut he throws to the body. He has got heavy hands. You can see that there's power there. In a way, he's kind of similar to Shavkat Rakimov. I see similarities there. It's another heavy-handed, come-forward guy. I don't think he's quite as consistently busy in terms of letting his hands go as Rakimov is. And in his last fight, he fought a Polish guy, Damian Razinski. Now against Razinski, he had to go the distance, but he scored a knockdown there, I think, in the final round. But Razinski, you know, he was only fighting to survive. He kept on his bicycle, moving this way, moving that way. So a lot of fast movement this way, that way, does seem to frustrate Zaurbek. Now, the thing is, can Azinga Fuzile pull it off? He's not a guy that, he moves, but he's not a guy that bounces around on his toes, you know. He moves one foot following the other foot, and he has that sideways stance, which is going to make it difficult for Zaurbek to really get the shots off that he wants to get off. But, you know, it's hard to stay out of the way for a full 10 rounds. And I do notice that Zaurbek, he gets caught with quick straight punches sometimes, but he shrugs them off and he walks through them. Now, his quality of opposition so far has been decent. You know, but I don't think he hasn't got a Kenichi Ogawa or a Shavkat Rakimov on his record. He hasn't had that level of opponent or even a Martin Joseph Ward, I would say. That was probably the best level of opponent. Maybe you can compare Damian Rosinski with Ward. But, you know, I think the guys that he beat, Azinga Fuzile would have beaten too. So if I have to go with what my eyes tell me, you know, what worries me a bit with Azinga Fuzile is since the Kenichi Ogawa fight, he's sort of been treading water with the kind of opponents he's been fighting. He's not been very active, only 3 fights since 2021. So, you know, that's not ideal. And I've got to ask myself, what are you going to learn what are you going to take from, what can you learn from that defeat against Kenichi Ogawa and the earlier one against Rakimov? How are you going to improve those things when you have that level of opposition in front of you that you can easily beat? You know, that's what worries me a bit from Azinga Fuzile. You guys got to tell me in the comments section, who do you think wins and how do they win? Is it going to be Zaurbek who's going to win here, or is it going to be Azinga Fuzile? How do they win and why do they win? Tell me down below. I, of course, am rooting for Azinga Fuzile. He's a nice guy. I've met him before. I've been at some of his fights. He's a very talented fighter. Good hand speed, awkward, hard to hit. He throws good combinations. He's got some respectable power in his shots. And, you know, I remember seeing him against Romulo Koasica up there in Gqeberha. And I thought, very, very talented fighter. He stood there in a corner and let Koasica throw punches, and he used that Philly shell to block and parry and counter him at will. He looked very good there. But, you know, we can't get away from the fact that Rakimov and Ogawa did happen. And, you know, I would say Fuzile's chin, not the greatest. I won't call him chinny. He's got an up after all when he went down, but not the greatest chin. He's not going to be able to just walk through the shots of Sultan Zaurbek, and that's a thing for me. And I also wonder, that's another X factor, we don't know how good Sultan Zaurbek's chin is either. How is he going to take it when Azinga Fuzile cracks him one on the jaw? And I think Fuzile will crack him 1 or 2, because he is rather straight up, and, you know, he depends on his heavy hands, and he controls the distance by just stepping away from the punches to the side, to this side, to that side. Not the greatest at cutting off the ring, but very, very accurate with his punches and very heavy hitter. Now for Azinga Fuzile, I've noticed that Zaurbek is a slow starter, and Azinga Fuzile can be a slow starter as well. But if the other guy is a slow starter, much like when Neki Butler fought Taguchi, Ryoichi Taguchi, for that great win of his. Taguchi was a slow starter and Heki started quickly to bank those first few rounds. And that's what Azinga Fuzile must do here against Zaurbek. He's got to get off to a quicker start, even if it's just being very busy with his jab, and bank those first few rounds. Steal the first few rounds when Zaurbek is getting into it and try and cracking with something hard so as to get his respect. And from there on, just keep him off balance and stop his forward momentum. You know, and for that, you're going to need a lot of jabs. Azinga is good with from a southpaw stance with a straight left to a body. That's something that can work for him. Just tap Zaurbek in the body and to the jab upstairs and keep stepping around him and work angles. I don't think it's a good idea for Azinga to stand in the corner of that Philly shell and let Zaurbek punch, because remember, he is in front of his home crowd. You don't want to give a referee opportunity to step in and just wave a fight over prematurely. And I think Zaurbek, he has got the kind of firepower. A lot of it will be on the gloves or on the arms, but he will get through with his shots. And when he does get through, I think he's got the power to hurt Azinga Fuzile. So that's what I think what is going to happen. I'm hoping Azinga Fuzile can pull this off, because Sultan Zaurbek comes with a lot of hype behind him, and it will be a great win for Azinga, and it will put him back around the top of the division where he can go on to challenge for a world title down the line. But can he do it in Kazakhstan, of all places? That is the big question. I think it's going to be the most difficult fight for Zaurbek, and I don't think Zaurbek is necessarily the most difficult fight that Azinga Fuzile has faced. Is Zaurbek better than Kenichi Ogawa? Is he better than Shavkat Rakimov? We don't know yet, but I'm thinking he is at least as good or better if I just look at what my eyes tell me once he gets started. So for me, what worries me is simply what Azinga Fuzile has been doing in between the Ogawa fight and now. You know, he didn't fight guys that could challenge him. If he could just fight somebody in between, sort of like a Damian Rzazinski, that sort of just in between international level opponent, not somebody who is continental level, because that is a couple of notches down for level where he was competing at. I think that's better for developing a fighter to work on those mistakes if he can correct them. So that worries me about Azinga Fuzile. So if I had to put my head on the chopping block, I think Azinga will frustrate Sultan Zaurbek. I think he'll clip him a couple of times. I don't know if he will be able to hurt him to make him hesitant or knock him down or even more. My gut tells me Zaurbek is going to take it, and he's going to make the adjustments and keep coming. And then I think Fuzile might go into a shell, might go into survival mode when he feels the power of Zaurbek. So I'm going to go for Sultan Zaurbek to win a decision in an interesting tactical fight in Kazakhstan, and I hope I'm wrong. But that's what I'm seeing. The momentum is not completely behind Azinga Fuzile. I know he's been training in Joburg. Those are all good things, but Zaurbek, I think, is the real deal. You know, I think he does have bricks in those hands, and you can fight to survive, and you can survive like Rzazinski did. But I think Fuzile is coming to win, and I think he's not going to win a close fight in Kazakhstan, and he's not going to make it a wide fight against Zaurbek. So that's why I'm saying I've got to pick Sultan Zaurbek to win this fight. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Azinga Fuzile surprises us, and I hope he comes back with a win. That's it from me, guys. And please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to all those that did. And remember to keep your hands up.